Hey guys, and welcome back to Mana Down Under, and for today's video, we are doing a commander deck idea on the new Trostani Discordant. Like all commander deck ideas, it's just me going through cards, listing cool things we might need to know about the deck or how to build it. It's not hardcore deck tech, just ideas. I will put a list of the cards in the description or somewhere down below. So the new Trostani is 5 mana, she's a 1/4, she has an Anthem, that's going to be part of the theme. She creates 2 1/1s with lifelink, and at beginning end step, each player gets all their creatures back, which is just an added bonus. Compared to old Trostani, she's very different. Old Trostani is all about life gain off toughness and populate. Populate was a bit of a dead mechanic, not many 2 people got into it. So we've built a whole deck around Anthems, tokens which go well with Anthems. Her third ability is kind of just a bonus. So before we go any further, remember that Divine Visitation is a thing, it's pretty strong, it's from the new set, so a bit of flavour there. So the actual Anthems, I've gone for creatures with upside and non-creature anthems. I wanted a mix. So things like Elesh and all that buffed our creatures and debuffed them is really good. The debuff is outside of our colour scheme, so it's pretty good to have. Angel Invention, for what it is, it's got an Anthem effect, it's got good keywords on it, and Fabricate, so it creates 2 more tokens for us. Angel of Jubilation, bit of a painful casting cost at triple white, but buffs all our non-black creatures, and players can't pay life or sack creatures. It doesn't really hurt us, a little bit of a number, we've got like 2 or 3 cards which it would affect. The Liege, they're great, they buff your 2 colours and they have an upside. If your opponent discards this card, we get to play it for free, bonus. And then the Wolfblood, same idea, buff our 2 colours and it taps to make a 2/2 green white token, which gets buffed by the producer, so it's actually a 4/4. But then in this deck it'll be bigger, so keep that in mind. When we're going through these cards or any creatures and tokens in the deck, try and think of a couple Anthem effects on top of them, they get a bit silly. So then non-creature examples would be like Mirari's Wake, which buffs our creatures and double up our lands. Collective Blessing is nothing special, but +3/+3 is just that good, you have to have it. Eldrazi Monument, that's game winning. Giving your creatures flying, indestructible and +1/+1, that's just gonna hover your troops up above your opponent's army and fly in. You do have to sacrifice on your upkeep though. Not much of a downside in token deck though. Marshal of Anthem is more expensive than a traditional Anthem, but it does have Resurrection built in. So if we play it late game, we've got all this mana, we can resurrect a lot of our graveyard if we need to. Cathars Crusade isn't a traditional Anthem, but the way our deck works, it's better than a traditional Anthem. Take Avenger of Zendikar here, which leads us into tokens. If he enters the battlefield, produce 10 planet tokens, you get to put 10 counters on each creature you control. That's better than a normal Anthem. So it does take a bit more time to set up and get rolling, but when it's going, it's going. I love Cathars Crusade, I run it in a lot of my decks. So now that we're into tokens, we've seen Avenger of Zendikar, Rampaging Baloths is commander staple, landfall make 4/4s, probably bigger in this deck. Tendershoot Dryad is a great example of a self-sustaining card. It makes a 1/1 on each of your upkeeps, and if you have Ascend, which is 10 permanents, you get City's Blessing, and then it buffs its own creature type. So it produces 1/1s, then can Ascend and make 3/3s. That's pretty good, plus all our Anthem effects. It's a very sustaining card. And like I said earlier on, with OG Trostani in the deck, we've got a little bit of a sub-theme in life gain. So things like Sunmare, it makes tokens based on if we gain life in the turn, makes those tokens indestructible. Pretty strong card, puts a lot of pressure on your opponent. Hornet Queen, including itself, is 5 bodies with Death Touch, plus all the Anthems, they're pretty big flyers. Even the cats, which mine's right here, down here, the cats work really well, because they all produce tokens and they all have reference to lifelink or something. They're a good little tribe. That wasn't intentional, but they work well in the deck. So the Regal makes 2 other cats that are 1/1s with lifelink. It buffs all cats and gives them lifelink. Then you got the Warleader, which when it attacks makes more cats tapped and attacking with lifelink. Brumaz creates cats with vigilance, unfortunately, but on attack and block. So they do produce their own little army, and that's what we need. We need tokens. Trostani Summoner. It is 7 mana, but it does, including herself, makes a 1/1, a 2/2, a 3/3, and a 4/4 with a ton of keywords. If you flicker it, which could be a theme you do in the deck, but if flicker go on, pretty good card. A lot of board presence for 1 spell. Hero the Blade Hold. When it attacks, make 1/1s, tapped and attacking. Then you sack the Battle Cry on top and all your Anthem effects. They're not 1/1s, they're probably like 5/4s or something, punching in real hard. I do like to have my tokens mixed. I like to have explosive production and steady production when it comes to tokens. So From Beyond and Waking Zone examples of steady production. Each upkeep, we make a 1/1 or a 0/1 Eldrazi sign or spawn that we can sack for mana. And that gives us just tokens and bodies on the board which we can anthem up. But from beyond can sack itself to 2 different Eldrazi, which is where we've gone Decimator of Provinces, which is Craterhoof Behemoth in the deck. I haven't got actual Craterhoof here because the Decimator is cheaper. Just run it. Similar effect, +2/+2, not XX, but we really care about the trample, because there's so many Anthem effects, the XX doesn't really matter too much, but you could run it. You could run both if you want to, but the Decimator is easy to cast. Now into more explosive token production. Storm Herd, a card that not enough people play with. It is 10 mana, but you get 1/1s equal to your life. In this deck, remember they're not going to be 1/1s, they're probably 7/7 flying horse. They're pretty strong. To cure the waste with a big standard bomb back in the day. X1, just tokens, is really simple, instant speed. It's just a good all-round card in the deck, can't really go wrong. Fungal Sprouting, a favourite card of mine. It's only uncommon, but it creates for 4 mana, X tokens equal to the greatest power amongst your creatures. Not that hard. All the Anthem effects, the commander, everything going on. You're probably going to have a 4 to 6/6 somewhere there, so it'll put a few tokens out. March of the Multitudes from the current set. It does put out 1/1 lifelinkers, which is great, but it is more expensive. But it does have Convoke and lifelink built in. That's kind of your trade-off. And the amount of tokens we have, the Convoke isn't a bad thing. Increasing Devotion gives you double round. For 5 mana you get 5 tokens, and then Flashback for 9, you get 10 tokens. So don't cast and Flashback in one turn. Probably wait till a board wipe or 2 have gone through, then Flashback to help re-establish. Devout Invocation, tap a creature, make a 4/4 Angel. I love the card and hate it at the same time. I love that you're turning a 1/1 on his knees to make a 4/4. But every time I've played this card, I've died. So I've bad stigma with it. Alrighty. You've seen these 4 cards. Everyone knows they'd be in the deck. They break any token deck ever, or even counter decks. At least have Parallel Lives and Anointed Procession. That would be the bare bones for the deck to do well. If you can, get Doubling Season Primal Vigor. I know together that's $60, that's a bit of money for them. But they need to reprint Doubling Season again. It needs to be a cheaper card because it does make commander decks what they are. Just take note that Primal Vigor does work for your opponents, so depending what deck you're versing, you could kill yourself, potentially, so just be careful. And like I was saying with the life gain, we've got a bit of a sub-theme going on, so things like Essence Warden and Soul Warden, whenever a creature in this battlefield, we gain a life. Doesn't matter token, whose, whatever it is, we gain the life. So we can gain a lot of life, and with all that extra life, we can play with it. We might not need to block a few turns, we can just sponge the damage, hit harder in the backswing, or use it with things like Archangel of Thune. Whenever you gain life, instances, not total, you put a 1/1 counter on your creature, on all your creatures, sorry. So the Wardens work well with it because of the multiple instances. And we said the Sunmare earlier, the Angel here, if we gain 5 or more life this turn, we get another Angel token. Pretty easy to pull off in this deck, so it's a bit of life gain and more token production and buffing at the same time. True Convictions is game winning. Give your whole team double strike and lifelink. Your life total goes up here, no one can keep up with you. You'll find a way to win just by playing it. I did want to keep some populating the deck. Shout out to the old Trostani. It's not quick, but it's still good progress. Wayfaring Temple is equal to the number of creatures you control, and if it does hit the player, populate, so it's not too bad in the deck. Growing Ranks, better out early than later on, because you just keep adding up an extra token every turn. And Sundering Growth, it's just a common, but it is removal, but it can populate for 2 mana. It's pretty good. In no particular order, you've got things like Aura Shards, favourite card of mine, I run it in a lot of my commander decks. If any creature enters the battlefield under your control, destroy target artifact or enchantment. With all your tokens, no one can have artifact or enchantments, and depending who you're versing, that shuts some decks out just completely. Perilous Forays is a great card. It is 5 mana enchantment, but it has pay 1 generic sack a creature, which is a bit of a number with that Angel I mentioned earlier, so just be careful with that. Search your library for a land card with a basic type. Does not mean it has to be basic, you can get your shock lands and so on, your OG duels if you're a high roller. So you can sack all your tokens to thin your deck down incredibly. I've actually thinned my entire decks out before to no lands with this kind of card before. Really good in the deck. It just means you're less likely to draw lands too. Cryptolithic Rite is a great card. If any creature can tap for mana, the things you can do get scary. Your creatures can tap for mana, sacrifice themselves to Perilous Foray. You can do a lot of cool things with it. Even just get turns ahead of your opponent. The Virtue I've put here towards the end. It is an Anthem effect, but it's only for tokens, so I didn't put it at the beginning. To give your tokens +1/+1 and Vigilance for 2 mana, that's pretty good. You can't really go wrong, can't complain. Planeswalkers. Some people run them, some people won't. If you're running Doubling Season, a little bit more incentive too. But Garruk is here mainly for his -3. You draw cards equals greatest power of your creatures. White-green doesn't draw too well, we can't Skull Clamp because they're not 1/1, so we have to find draw where we can. He can make 3/3s, which does help. Nissa, she's great. Get out early on, +1, make that 0/1 plant token. If we need to, we can blanket the team with the counter if we need that little bit extra damage to get through. Or her -7. Draw cards and gain X life equal number of lands you control. That's pretty good. If you get out nice and early, hopefully you'll build up to it. And Elspeth Tirel, she's my preference out of all the Elspeth. Mainly because of the life gain. If we've got a few life gain matter creatures, good to have it. -2, if we need to, we can create 3/1/1 tokens. Or her -5 is really strong in the deck. Destroy all other permanents except for lands and tokens. Hopefully we'll have good board presence. Pop it off, our board presence remains. Most of theirs is gone, hopefully. Then artifacts, there's only a few which really help the deck. Panharmonicon is a bit silly, of course, in Commander. If you've got any Enter the Battlefield of triggers, away you go. So with our Commander, a lot of our token production is Enter the Battlefield. Just include it, it's a good option to have. Helm of the Host really breaks Trostani. So if you're creating a token of Trostani every turn, you get another Anthem effect, and you get more tokens. It just gets worse and worse the longer the opponent leaves it. Ashnod's Altar, like I said, a bit of a number at the beginning, but just stack your spells. Sacking creatures with 2 mana, we have so many tokens to play with, good option. We can use them in big X spells or get a few turns ahead of our opponent in really big silly spells. Then you've got Conjurer's Closet. Works really well in the deck, we've got all these cards with Enter the Battlefield effects, so if we can flicker or blink anything, we get more tokens, helps reset creatures so they can block again. It works well in the deck. Just another option, you could build around that, you could go down that path. The lands. Not too many lands matter. I know Growing Rights is an enchantment, but it flips into a land. And it flips into a reserve list card that's pretty good in the deck. Tap for green mana, equal number of creatures. And it's not hard to flip in the deck. Gavany Township, good enough for modern, good enough for here. Easy as that. And the Garden, it's just an extra token. The lands in this deck don't matter too much, just make sure you've got either basics, you've got a good spread of dual lands. Try and get the ones with key land types on them for things like Perilous Foray earlier on. And like always, there's probably a ton of cards I haven't mentioned. But make sure you run your board wipes, your removal. You are white, so you do have some good things there to play with. Path and Swords, Wrath of God, those kind of things. Probably have a few booties in the deck to protect your commander from target removal if you play groups all about that. Try and put some draw in. Green-white doesn't draw too well. So, Pack Leader and Elemental Bond. If a creature with power 3 or greater enters, draw a card. And remember, all the Anthem effects apply like instantly when the creature enters battlefield. So if we have like a 3/4 plant token entering, we get to draw cards. Even consider the Revelation here, where you draw cards for each creature you control. In a token deck, pretty strong, and it might gain us some life. Or my favourite, Sleight of Ancestry. Ditch your hand, draw cards equal to your creatures you control. Token decks, no problem. So that's Trostani. She's not a combo deck, she's not silly shenanigans. She's more of a fair creature based, on the ground kind of deck. But she's fun, I like her. She's like the Lord of Anthems, that'll be her name, there we go, Lord of Anthems. I think she's an alright commander, all-rounder. Any cards here you'd want to recommend? Anything I haven't mentioned? Any suggestions you got? Let us know down below. Yeah, I'm happy with Trostani. I think she's better than most people give her credit for. I think she'll see some stand play. Alright guys, have a good one. Thanks for watching guys. Please remember to like and sub and click the bell icon for notifications. It's greatly appreciated. And if you have any deck or video ideas, just suggest them down below. And have a good one guys.